They say the camera never lies. But in the final 27 days of Lisa Left Eye Lopes, the lens captured something the world wasn't ready to witness. This wasn't a pop star on a tropical vacation. It was a woman documenting her own spiritual departure. Before the fire, before the bankruptcy, and before the metal crushed the spirit, there was just Lisa, a visionary who was too loud for an industry that demands its women remain quiet and compliant, that condom under her eye. It wasn't just a fashion statement, it was a shield, a psychological barrier against a world that wanted to consume her beauty while systematically ignoring her intellect. Imagine being the face of the biggest selling girl group in history. Your image is on every billboard. Your voice echoes in every club from Tokyo to New York. But when you insert your card into an ATM, the screen reads 0, while record labels were building glass empires on the foundation of her talent. Lisa was being suffocated by contracts that mirrored modern-day slavery. This was the industry's most sinister trick. Branding a woman, a millionaire, while she couldn't afford the very car she would eventually die in. They labeled her crazy when she burnt down a mansion. But they never asked if the fire was the only language she had left to scream in. We look at Lisa and see our own struggle with the cages we inhabit. We see the desperate need to find a Honduras, a sanctuary for the soul. But what happens when the ghost you are fleeing is already there waiting for you? In April 2002, Lisa finally escaped the neon prison of Hollywood. She took a small circle of friends and a handheld camera into the deep jungles of Honduras. She wasn't chasing a hit record. She was chasing her own soul. She believed the industry had polluted her essence, and only the herbs and the primal silence of the jungle could wash her clean. But the footage she left behind tells a darker story. Lisa began to speak of a presence, a heavy energy that shadowed her every move. On camera, her eyes transformed. They were no longer the eyes of a superstar, but the eyes of a prey watching an invisible predator. She told her friends, "I feel like I'm being chased." Then the universe sent a chilling omen. Days before her own crash, a young boy in the village was struck and killed by a vehicle in Lisa's convoy. His last name, Lopes, the exact same as hers. Devastated, Lisa believed the spirit coming for her had claimed the wrong Lopes by mistake. She began to speak in the past tense, preparing for an inevitable end, whispering, "The spirit is still hungry." The survivors of that final drive, those who live to tell the tale, don't describe a simple accident. They describe a woman fighting an invisible force for control of the steering wheel. One survivor later whispered in a hushed interview, "The car didn't just turn. It felt like it was pulled by a hand we couldn't see." While the world focused on the famous footage, a second recording device, the one containing her private thoughts, vanished for 3 days. Villagers reported seeing men in suits scouring the wreckage at dawn, long before the local police arrived. Were they looking for her journals? Or the financial manifesto she had promised would change the industry forever? As news of the crash reached the towers of Atlanta, the industry executed its second act, monetization. The unstable woman they had marginalized was suddenly a fallen legend. But behind the televised tributes, her millions remained missing. The same predatory contracts that kept her broke in life were now making the labels. Wealthier in her death. Questions that were once whispered are now being shouted. Why did the break seem to fail in that precise, fatal moment? Some believe Lisa was ready to burn down the entire industry with a tell-all documentary. exposing the dark, financial plumbing of Hollywood. In the music business, it is often cheaper to bury a legend than to pay a rebel. 3 weeks before she left for Honduras, Lisa had done the unthinkable. She sent a legal notice to her label, claiming the rights to the TLC masters. Had she won, the industry stood to lose hundreds of millions. Was the mechanical failure an act of God? Or a remote-controlled message to anyone else thinking of owning their own work? Lisa didn't just leave music. She left a blueprint for rebellion. She was the woman who burnt down her own house just to prove it was a prison. Lisa's death was not an end, but a transition. Years later, her mother discovered notebooks filled with complex codes and offshore account numbers, proof that Lisa was a mathematical genius who had been tracking the theft of TLC's earnings in secret. She was solving the crime of her own exploitation while she was still breathing. There is a recurring pattern in this industry. From Tupac to Left Eye, the black sheep always seems to meet an early grave the moment they transition from performers to owners. The industry loves a dancer, but they absolutely fear an architect. Branding. Lisa, as insane, was a tactical move to ensure that if she ever spoke the truth, the world would be too busy laughing to listen. Today, the same isolation Lisa felt is being replicated. We see the same mental health labels being used to cage modern rebels. Lisa's final 27 days were more than a documentary. They were a whistleblower's last testimony. Forensic experts who re-examined her final footage noticed a strange, blinding flash of light seconds before the swerve. Was it a camera flash from a friend? Or a high-intensity device designed to blind a driver at high speed? The truth may be buried in the soil of Honduras, but the dividends of her death are still being collected in the high-rises of Los Angeles. Lisa found her truth. She just had to go to a place where the world could no longer reach her to keep it safe. Lisa Lopes wasn't just a singer. She was a mirror reflecting the hidden truths of an industry that feeds on the souls of the talented. But this story doesn't end here. The black sheep legacy lives on in all of us who dare to question the narrative. If this investigation moved you, don't just watch become part of the truth. Your support is the only fuel that keeps this channel digging deeper into the stories Hollywood wants to remain buried. Hit that subscribe button and join the family.